Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. This week we are taking that extreme budget grocery haul and we are turning it into delicious, easy, affordable family meals that can feed a family of 4. So stick around, let's get in the kitchen and let's start cooking. It's all things Mandy. I'm going to be making these first 2 recipes on the same night. So I'm going to start with these buffalo chicken sandwiches. I have these 2 very large chicken breasts left over from a grocery haul a week or 2 ago. And so I pulled them out of the freezer. They are still frozen, and I put them in my Instant Pot, and you just pour in a cup of water. This is what I love about the Instant Pot. You can cook chicken from frozen in about 25 minutes. So I'm just going to season up my chicken breast here with salt and pepper. And then I'm going to be putting this into my Instant Pot. Remember that you need to set that to sealing. I'm going to hit pressure cook, and then I'm going to pressure cook this for 25 minutes. Once the 25 minutes was up, I did let it do a slow release for 10 minutes. Then I released the pressure and I pulled out my chicken breast here. They are fully cooked and I'm just shredding them. And then I'll be adding that back to my Instant Pot here. And I'm going to be adding in some buffalo sauce. This is a bottle of Frank's that I had in the fridge. There was like about half left, so I just used the rest of that. And then I have about half of this bottle of Bolthouse Farms Ranch that I need to kind of get out of my fridge. So I'm going to use some of that in this as well. So I'm just going to pour that in, and then I'm going to give everything a very good stir just to get those flavors combined. You can add whatever flavors that you like to this. If you don't want the buffalo flavor, I've done this with just barbecue sauce and had pulled chicken sandwiches as well. Now, once I got this combined, there was a little bit more water or liquid in this than I wanted. So I turned my Instant Pot to saute, and I decided to toast up some buns while that liquid was cooking down. So I just put some buns in the oven, and here is our plate. The buffalo chicken was amazing. This would be great on a slider. I just had these regular sized buns. I served this alongside some fries. This was a delicious meal. And I got 18 banana bread muffins from those 3 ripe bananas. I've made banana bread before on my channel. I'll leave a card above if you'd like to go back and see that video, and you can make banana bread too. So now I'm going to go ahead and make up this cornbread salad. It makes a ton of food, and so I want to just go ahead and get that made up before the work week. So I made a cake of cornbread from the Jiffy Box instructions. I let it cool completely. And then now I'm going to start prepping my veggies. I have a green pepper, 2 tomatoes, and the recipe calls for 1 red onion. I have about half of a red onion that's already been cut up and it's been hanging out in my fridge. So I'm just going to use that just to use that up. So if you have been around my channel for long, you have seen me use this dicer a couple of times. I love this thing. It comes with several different attachments. There's different size dice, and then there's shredders and slicers and all kinds of attachments with this thing. It was so affordable and it is so handy. I will leave a link down in the description box if you want to check that out, but it was very affordable and it makes vegetable dicing so simple, especially on those recipes where you want all of your vegetable to be chopped the same size or maybe a smaller size than you would do with a knife. So for this recipe, I am just going to use the larger dice attachment, and all I've done after I washed my veggies was just to put them in chunks, and then it's that simple. You can see here how the vegetables all come out in a very uniform size. I even did my tomatoes as well because I wanted for this recipe for all my vegetables to be very small. So here you can see I have my tomatoes ready, I have my green peppers ready, and we are going to make the ranch dressing that goes on top of this cornbread salad. So the recipe calls for 1 cup of sour cream, 1 cup of mayonnaise, and then 1 packet of ranch dressing. So I'm just going to get these ingredients put into my little measuring cup here, and then we're going to give this a stir. Make sure that you mix it very well, and then I'm just going to let it kind of hang out while I assemble the salad. Now I am ready to assemble this salad. This makes a beautiful dish, so if you had like a trifle bowl, this would be beautiful. I am just prepping this ahead, so I'm going to put it in this Tupperware bowl. But I'm going to take my cake of cornbread and crumble it up all in the bottom of this bowl. Next, I'm going to drain and rinse 2 cans of pinto beans, and I'm going to put that as the next layer on top of my cornbread. Now, you want to spread this around and make sure that it gets all nice and evenly layered. The next layer will be the green peppers, so I'm just going to add my diced green peppers on top of the pinto beans. The next layer is the corn, so I'm going to drain this can of corn, and then I'm going to add that on top of the green peppers. And again, make sure and kind of spread this around just so it is evenly layered. The next layer, I'm going to add the purple onion. Now this is pretty strong. You know, purple onions or red onions or whatever they call them, they can be very strong. So feel free to omit this if you're not a strong onion person, but this will be the next layer. And then we're going to add on our tomatoes. I had a ton of tomatoes left over. I'm going to use it for salads this week, but if you wanted to only use 1 tomato, I definitely think that would be enough. Now you're going to add your ranch mixture on top of those tomatoes. I just kind of spread it around, make sure that it covers, and wow, this ranch dressing smells amazing. And then we're just going to top with some shredded cheddar cheese. I shredded up most of that block of cheddar cheese that I had. I'm just going to cover that on top, and then we are done. Now the recipe called for crumbling bacon bits on top, and you could certainly do that. It wasn't in my budget this week. I did have a few green onions that I had put in my freezer, so I just decided to get those out and scatter a few of those on top, but bacon would definitely be delicious as well. And here is my finished layered salad. You can see all of those beautiful layers. So I just put that in the fridge to hang out and chill. And when it comes time to serve, look at all this beautiful color, these beautiful layers, all the flavor. This is a great meatless meal option, and this is a ton of food. Definitely delicious, definitely healthy because it has tons of fresh produce in it, and you get your protein from the beans. So this is a great meal. All right, so tonight, y'all, we're going to do the Copycat Olive Garden chicken gnocchi soup. I had a hard time finding gnocchi. I finally found this at my Food Line. It was $3 and some change, but I wanted to make this recipe. So I'm going to start by taking 2 ribs of celery. I'm going to chop that up. I'm going to peel and shred 2 carrots. Next, I have my 6-quart soup pan, pot, whatever here, and I'm putting in 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to let that melt, and after that butter has melted, I'm going to add in 1/4 of a cup of some all-purpose flour. This is just going to help thicken the soup, and so I'm going to stir this around in my melted butter and let that flour cook for just a few minutes. You don't want that to taste like raw flour. Next, I'm going to take my chopped up celery and I'm going to move it to the pot with my food mover. The link for this food mover is down in the description box if you didn't already know. I'm going to stir this around and let this cook for just a few minutes. I want my celery to soften, and so I'm just going to keep an eye on it and let the celery cook. After my celery has cooked through, I'm going to put in 4 cups of chicken stock. This is some chicken stock that I made in another video where when I was boiling up some chicken breast, I made a stock. I do that a lot so that I don't have to buy chicken stock, and then I just keep it in my freezer. So I defrosted 2 of those, and I put that in my pot. You can see it's still a little bit frozen, so I'm just going to put a lid on it and let this come to a simmer. Once this came to a good simmer here, I'm going to start adding in my carrots. So I got that handy dandy food mover and I got my shredded carrots. I put that in. I'm going to give everything a stir, and then we're going to look at the seasonings. So I decided to do a teaspoon of salt. I think I'm going to do a teaspoon and a half. And then I'm going to do a half a teaspoon of black pepper. And then I'm going to give that a stir. And I'm going to add in some garlic powder. I wanted to add in onion powder, but actually was out. So it doesn't have to be in there, but if you have some onion powder, add a little bit of onion powder in. I am going to add in some garlic powder. I'm just going to eyeball the garlic powder because I love garlic powder. And then there's a secret ingredient. Apparently adding nutmeg to the soup just gives it a wow factor, and that's what Olive Garden does, so that's what I'm going to do. Next, I took 3 big handfuls of some baby spinach that I had, and I just tore that up into the soup. You want about a cup of spinach. This bag is huge, so this is going to be great to add into other meals. I could have salads with my meals this week. This bag of spinach is a great value. Next, I decided to go ahead and add in my gnocchi. Gnocchi, if you've never had it, I've never had it, to be honest. I'm excited about this recipe. Is just a little potato dumpling. And so I'm excited about this because, y'all, I'm from the South. I love chicken and dumplings. So I'm going to put this gnocchi into my soup here. Be very careful because it will splash. And so I'm just dumping this in and giving this a stir. Everything that I looked at about cooking gnocchi says that once the gnocchi floats to the top of your soup, it is done. And here you can see the gnocchi is coming to the top, so I'm ready to add in my last ingredients. I'm going to be adding in a can of drained canned chicken, and this is just for budget purposes. If you've got a chicken breast in the freezer, go ahead, cook that chicken breast up, dice it, put it into the soup. But for today, I'm going to use this canned chicken. So be very careful when you're dropping this in because it will splash, and this is hot. So I'm going to put that in, give it a stir, and then we're almost finished. The last ingredient is 2 cups of half and half, or you could use heavy whipping cream, but I have the half and half, and 2 cups is this entire container. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. You can see this is on a great simmer. I'm going to pour in the half and half. I'm going to give this a stir, and our creamy, delicious chicken and gnocchi soup, Copycat Olive Garden chicken and gnocchi soup is almost ready to serve. So here is my soup after it simmered for a few minutes. Guys, this is a 6-quart soup pot, and it's more than half full. This made a ton of food. It's so delicious. You definitely have to try this. I mean, it's so good. I'm probably going to do a standalone video for this. So if you see it twice, I'm sorry, but no, I'm not sorry. This is that good, and you have to try it. It's so filling. It's so delicious. I'm so excited about this. Guys, chicken gnocchi for the win. Tonight's meal, we're going to be making meatball stroganoff. So I'm going to start with my 1 pound of ground turkey here, and I'm going to mix up my meatballs. So I'm just going to drop this meat into the bowl and add a little bit of seasoning to it. This is a really simple meatball recipe. The first thing I'm going to add is some Worcestershire sauce. I'm not measuring it. I just kind of eyeball it, give a couple splashes in there. And then I'm going to be adding in some garlic powder, some minced onion, and salt and pepper. And then I'm just going to get my hands down in there and give this a good mix. Once I have that mix, I just take a little cookie scoop and I just scoop out the meat mixture. I use the cookie scoop and just kind of drop it there on my cookie sheet just to kind of pre-measure the meatballs and make sure they're all about the same size. But once I get all of this meat mixture onto my cookie sheet, I'm going to take my hands and then roll them into a ball. Once I have all my meatballs ready, I'm going to stick them into a 425-degree oven for about 20 minutes. Now, I'm just going to use these bow tie pastas. Normally, it would be egg noodles, but these bow ties were a lot cheaper. So now that my pasta water's going, I've got those bow ties in there. I'm melting up 4 tablespoons of butter, and I'm going to be sauteing my mushrooms in this butter. I just cleaned these mushrooms up and got them all in my pan, and I'm sauteing them in the butter, and this is going to be the basis for the stroganoff sauce. So once I had a good saute there onto my mushrooms, I'm pouring in about half of this container of beef broth. It's not going to take more than that, so if you wanted to just buy the smaller container, that would be perfectly fine. But I'm going to pour about half of this in, give it a stir, let it come back up to a simmer, and then we'll almost be ready to finish the sauce. Now that that is back up to a simmer, I have taken my meatballs out of the oven, and now I'm just removing those from that cookie sheet and dropping them down into this sauce. And all that's left is to add the sour cream. So I added 1 cup of sour cream to my sauce mixture, and then I just gave that a stir. This is one of my favorite meals, beef stroganoff. So this is our plate. We just served that over those bow tie noodles. This was delicious, and it was definitely easy and definitely affordable. So that was our meals this week. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.